This morning, Nigerians encourage corruption, cites University Punch newspaper. And Nigeria's Nigerian governor forum calls for Okonjo Iweala's resignation. Page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
The dailies every day on Core TV News.
Well, thank you for joining us now. It's Core Digest. We take a look at what the newspaper are talking about. Beginning with the Nation newspaper. I think you have the Guardian and the Vanguard, right? But
exactly.
I'm starting from the Nation. The big one here, the multi-billion-dollar NNPC fraud by auditors. You can take a look at the details of that story on page 2, 3, and 7 of the Nation newspaper. I have this one here. Report 4.29 billion US dollars should be refunded, and a rider not for the NNPC's model of operation. Then NPDC blocks probe, and another rider says kerosene subsidies can expose. Page 4, the details of the story continue there. And another one says, I'm ready for probe after tenure, says Jonathan. I'll get the details of the story on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Then another one says, Mimiko gets new deputy as Ondo House sacks on land mercy. Get the details of the story on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. The 370 million US dollar Abacha loot found. You can get the details of that story on page 5 as well. Babak Tokwe gets knocks for backing equity illegality. Page 5, 8, 9, and 11 get the details of the story of that headlines there. The Oyo Tribunal gets 12 National Assembly opposed petitions. Another writer said, President to Supreme Court stop National Assembly. Ogun Chinese firm signed $3 billion US intra-city rail contract. These are some of the interesting stories you have on the front page of the Nation this morning.
All right, let's move very quickly and find out what the top stories are on the front page of the Vanguard. The big one here, I have nothing to hide, says Jonathan. It's about the NNPC's missing $20 billion. The writers here, orders release of audit report. David West, Sam Tibet, reps others back probe. We're not afraid of probe, says the PDP. PwC forensic audit of NNPC reviews a $1.28 billion in subsidy scam. You want to find out details of that? It's on page 54 of the Vanguard. The front page picture also shows a cross-section of newly elected senators during the 8th National Assembly induction course for new and returning legislators in Abuja. That was yesterday. You see some newly elected reps as well at the event. All right, to other stories. Hate campaign. Buhari fights back. Bars AIT from covering activities. That's on page 14 of the Vanguard. Interesting story, really. You see them talking about security and family concerns. I'm sure we'll touch more on that in the course of the show today. Constitution amendment. Federal government asks Supreme Court to stop National Assembly. That's on page 9. And that wraps it, indeed. Except we find time to check the sports, Frank, very quickly. Keshi, I don't have a team. You want to find out what the Super Eagles coach is talking about. It's on page 61. You see why the money man is close to Jenner's. TP Tapi football is great, but an NFF Keshi shock Ibru. Okocha wants to be president of NFF. That's on page 61 of the Vanguard.
Well, let's move to the Guardian now. The big one here now. How Buhari had tackled graft governance by Ugibola others. And Rider Group urges 70% pay cuts for office orders, sale of 9 presidential jets. Be the father of a new Nigeria, Ehusani urges President-elect. The details of that story continues on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. This one said a little down at the bottom of the paper, Ondo Assembly impeaches Deputy Governor Aliolanusi Lasisi Uluboya set to replace him. The story continues on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Take a look at the picture story on the front page of the Guardian. Former Speaker House of Representatives Gali Umaraba, Senate Leader Victor Ndomaigba, Deputy Senate President Ike Kwemadu. You see Senate President David Mark and Speaker House of Assembly Aminu Waziri Tambua during a book presentation on constitutional review at the 2015 induction certificate course of legislative studies for new legislators organized by National Institute of Legislative Studies in Abuja yesterday. Interesting for constitutional review there.
All right, we're joined now and set by policy analyst WILCOX ALESTA. Thank you very much for finding time to come today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's nice meeting you guys again. Looking so.
Thank you, and you look great too.
I like the word sparkling. Let's start with the presidency. There are issues as raised by the APC that the outgoing administration was making what it describes as questionable transactions. How do we draw the line? Ruben Abati is saying Mr. President is still very much in power till May 28. What's the thin line between questionable transaction and going about the daily business of the presidency?
Yes, APC has a very legitimate right to duty to alert the public or alert themselves as to what is happening. Because, you know, after every election, before there's what they call this transition committee. Now, the transition committee is supposed to be a committee comprising of the incoming government and the outgoing that seeks to look at transactions that are activities that have been taking place. So that the danger is the fact that the outgoing administration might want to set bobby traps or a lot of transactions that might be inimical to the interests of the incoming administration to do. Now, while it's a matter of fact, according to Ruben Abati, and it is correct that the administration still run until 29th of May, but at the same time, what you do might have a direct impact on the incoming administration. For instance, you can sign up the country. If you are still having a right to do that, you can sign up the country, you can enter into any kind of contract. But the law provides that at that point, there should be a synergy between the incoming and the outgoing, so that whatever thing you are doing thereafter, you are carrying these people along, so that they see the propriety or otherwise of it. You know, it is not. It's not. Why? The long as there's a new government in waiting, you are still governing, but you don't have that ample latitude to take decisions as broad as you like. Now, what they're committing is the fact that there are a lot of assets being sold. You don't begin to sell assets at this point in time. That is fraudulent. There are a lot of new contracts being entered into. I mean, you don't need to start entering into such long-term contracts that will now encumbrance on the incoming administration, because they may not have the funds or interest to continue that kind of business. So there must be that balancing between the income, and that is what the transition committee is supposed to be doing. But I don't know the extent to which the transition committee is doing.
APC is also questioning some of the new appointments, made by President Goodluck Jonathan. What is wrong with that as well?
There's nothing wrong with President Jonathan making appointments. I don't see anything wrong with the current appointment, so long as they're not tenured appointments. Now, tenured appointment is the appointment that has fixed terms. For instance, if you have to appoint a governor of central bank now, it's a tenured appointment. It has a fixed term of 5 years. Okay. And then the incoming regime will not have any latitude to either change or do that or remove or something. If you want to appoint chairman of INEC at this point, it's a tenured appointment. Members of the Revenue Mobilization and Refusal Committee, they are tenured appointment. Members of the Panel Commission, all those commissions that have tenured appointments, Civil Service Commission and all whatnot, they are tenured appointments. Now, if you're making such an appointment, then you are jeopardizing the capacity of the new government from wanting to also know their own direction, policy directions, with the kind of persons they want for study. But if you have to make ordinary board appointments that anybody can come and wipe off any day, I mean...
What do you have to say about the new IG, Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arashi? Is that a tenure appointment or just an appointment?
It's not a tenure appointment. It's just... I sympathize with IG Arashi. I think he might end up being the shortest serving IG in Nigerian history. This is not the best time to take such a job. You understand? This is not the best time to take a job. And the removal of IG Suleiman Abba, for me, it's vindictive, and it doesn't have anything to do with national interest. You have just 6 weeks to go. Whatever the be demands into secrecy, whatever be demands problems with you, you can just overlook him and let him be till you leave office. Moreover, police, IGs of police, they are quasi-political appointees. They are the whims and caprices of the chief executive officer of the state of the country, although with the concurrence of National Assembly. But of course, most of them that know National Assembly have never turned down any appointment brought in by the president.
But one of the reasons given by the president is that he was partisan during the 2015 general elections. Isn't that good reason?
That's not enough reason to remove from office. If he was partisan towards your own side, then will you have removed him? An edge of police is not supposed to be partisan. You see, that's where some of us social affairs commentators have been keeping on this country.
Okay.
We need to institutionalize our institutions. They should not be at the whims and caprices of individuals. The institutions are so weak. Look, the office of the IG of police, it's an office that should command the heads of respect. Even the presidency should fear that office. The presidency should fear that office. Today, the chief constabulary of the Metropolitan Police, the homes, even the prime minister must be careful the way he treads, because he commands he is the chief law officer of the state. So everybody, so the police office our police institution should have attained that height, whereby when they sneeze, everybody should catch cold because they are the custodians of the law. But unfortunately, what do we have? We have all along the line it being politicized, personalized, idolized to the man that sits at the helm of affairs. Starting unfortunately from Sunday they will see in 1983, the infamous Sunday they will see the attitude of during the MPN UPN days of 1983. Since then, the Nigerian police has not found its rhythm. It has become a politicized police force, whereby the IG need to dance to the tune of the man in power. Unfortunately, I don't know to what extent the IG Suleiman Abba, but IG Suleiman Abba has not been, is the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what he did at Tambuwa's case. You know what he did in some other, sometimes he even rolled back some of the gains made by his president, ND Yusuf, his predecessor. He rolled back some of the gains, and he was also dancing to the tune of the government. I don't know to what extent that he became partisans towards the opposition. I don't know. But even if that be the case, IG was just one person. He has DIGs, he has AIGs. So if the police was partisan, then the entire police hierarchy should have been wiped out, not just the IG. The IG is supposed to be the chief officer, the chief law officer, but he operates through every other person, the grassroots, the commissioners, and everybody who even have direct access as far as the election was concerned. He may not have a direct access as to what happened, but the commissioners, the DIGs, the AIGs, and all are those that have direct access to the politicians and everything. But whatever be the case, like I said, no matter what happened, he will have been the president at this point has shown, according to a lot of people, a statesmanship position. I think it's a position by accepting defeat, congratulating the winner, and is ready to have a smooth transition. So some of these actions, for me, they are not very, very coherent with the position he has taken.
Do you think there is a need to review the exclusive right of the executive in hiring and firing some of the heads of these ministries and parastatals?
It's not an exclusive right, sincerely. It's a recommendation. He appoints, but subject to confirmation. You know,
that is for the entry point.
Yeah.
But the way it went with the IGP, it was an exclusive decision of Mr. President.
To appoint him.
To fire him.
No, to fire him. Yes. You see, that is where, again, the Constitution makes it clear that, okay, so for those tenured positions, you can't fire without a third concurrence from the Senate. Because the Senate is the one that confirms. You can't fire. But unfortunately, again, this time government, there's a lot of illegal has happened in this government, and which is not unfortunate. This government went through some other ingenious and solution to suspend Sanusi. Sanusi had a tenured appointment. He was supposed to have left office for some X number of days or months, but he was suspended, I think 3 or 4 months at that time. It hue and cry. Nothing happened. Even National Assembly that is supposed to say, Mr. President, no, this is wrong. They didn't. So some of these things, it is Nigerians or the system that willingly submits to the whims and caprices of a leader. You see, we make our leader what we want them to be. If you want to check a leader, your leader will be under check. But if you so you are right, if National Assembly explain politics and they don't know they have the right to check Mr. President on some of his actions, then the man can go, because they say power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Power without control, it's for me it's catastrophic. So you just don't wake up and fire somebody. The police council, in fact, in the case of the IG, there's a police council, National Police Council. Not even the Police Service Commissioner, there's a National Police Council that is supposed to recommend. Because the Constitution says in consultation with the Police Council and with the approval of the. So there are checks and balances in the Constitution that will have checked some of these SSCs of an individual holding a certain office. But the unfortunate thing is the fact that Nigerians, the system willingly abdicate themselves from exercising those controls and those powers. And like the president, it's like a monarchical thing, whereby we think that president is like a monarch. The president word is law. You can't challenge the president. And when you want to do that, people will say, "Oh, all the hue and cry." But the system has made those. The find of IG Abba could not have been without the input of the police council. But I doubt if the police council had.
But you know, oftentimes we talk about the independence of such security agency like the police.
Yeah.
How relevant, how feasible is it rather for this incoming administration that probably would need forces like the police not to be a dog that can only bark, but that can also bite? Because we talk about independence of the police, but how realistic it is for the executive arm of government.
The truth of the matter is, it depends on what your policy objective or drive is. Your personal interest and your policy drive, depending on what it is. Now, a lot of people, their personal interest is, okay, I want to dominate. And you need the force of the police to dominate. You need the military to dominate. Therefore, you put them under your wings and caprices. Some other people can say, look, I want the system to work. For instance, when General Muhammad Buhari was head of state in 1983, 1984, we never hear of this kind of interference with the police work. We have, and I can't remember his name now, somebody from, I think, from Akwa Ibom Cross River, that was the IG, Etiminyang, Inspector General Etiminyang. He was the IG of police then. And I think I've never seen that kind of interference. I didn't see that interference between the presidency then, the head of state then, with the police. He was doing his work, does his appointment, does his shuffling, he wants to pass, do shuffling and everything. But if a leader wants to be in control, he will be in control, and since the system makes it weak, for that leader, for the system to check the leader.
Let me hold you for just a minute.
People willingly, like I always say, willingly giving their sovereignty and said, treat us as you like. You are the king.
Let me quickly, Nifemi, let me quickly take you back. Okay, all right.
Let me hold you for a minute. Let's take a commercial break here, and when we come back, we'll touch more on all of these issues. Stick around.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But what about the things in life that actually inspire us to believe? Like the things that drive us, the things that move us, and even the things that remind us that the sky really isn't our limit. Because when we are inspired, we are led to future greatness. But first, we just have to believe.
One day I want to build Nigeria's first aeroplane.
I know. One day you'll make us proud.
Rich and creamy pig, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
Any tribe that rules has solid rules.
Rule number 1, friends stay close. Friends in the tribe, stay closer. Feel me?
Rule number 2, in the tribe, you always know what's up with Facebook, WhatsApp, BB, and Twitter. Guess what? It's free.
Rule number 3, there are no rules with SMS. It's endless. Yes, boss.
Rule number 4, enjoy very long conversations with a special someone.
Enjoy endless connections to your friends with free calls, free WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, and BBM. You also enjoy up to 200% bonus on your recharges to call all networks. Migrate now by dialing *312# and start to live endless connections.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back. It's Cool Digest Tuesday as we check out State of the Nation Ahead transition. Alexa WILCOX is still very much with us in the house. Frank.
Yeah. I was going to ask a question before we went on break earlier to your analysis of how the president fired the former CBN governor, Lamido Sanusi, and you described it. You said it was illegal. But what are your thoughts concerning this popular belief and thought that once you're in a government, you need to be loyal to your government, that you cannot be a whistleblower against the government you are serving? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you see, when you're in government, it depends on the level of government you are. Now, like I said, there are offices that the Constitution guarantees, make specific provision about, and the Constitution has given you protection, guaranteed. That's why they are tenured. Like you said, the office of the CBN now is tenured. It's 5 years, and you can be reappointed for another 5 years. Within that 5 years, you are expected to serve the nation, not the president, not the appointing of. That's why those offices are tenured. Now, and it's granted by the Constitution. You are supposed to serve the nation. Now, if anything is going wrong in the government, you owe the nation a duty to bring it to light. For instance, what did Sanusi do? Sanusi discovered that there was missing money, or alleged that there was missing money with NNPC. Of course, remember that the CBN is the government bank of the government, and so every proceed comes in to the CBN. So from whatever receipts and payments, it's clear that they are going to invest 20 billion, and he wrote to the president. Okay, he wrote to the president and expressing those issues. And I was in there, according to the news, was the president, there was no response until that was leaked to the public or went to the public. And then it becomes an issue of the public. Now, the propriety of that, I cannot say for sure, but the fact remains that the CBN governor owes Nigerians a duty. The money belongs to Nigerians. The money does not belong to President Jonathan or to the government in power. It belongs to Nigerians. And not forget, it's money that belongs to the federation account, not even to the federal government. It's a federation account money. If it's a federal government money, that's a different matter. Then it can be said, okay, this is federal government money. Federation account. So whatever, the federal government only has 52% of whatever money that goes to the federation account. So, and then the states, the local government, ecological fund, other charges have interest in that. So the CBN governor owes Nigerians a duty to make that in public. And so if the president gets angry and he's not loyal, I don't think that is loyalty. You can't be loyal to a man. The president has 4 years, maximum of 8 years to preserve the affairs of the nation. Nigeria will exist in perpetuity. And you can be a president tomorrow, I can be a president tomorrow. So if whoever is there now messes up the system and destroys and we cannot have a future of Nigeria, then there's no point anybody saying that being proud to be a Nigerian.
But bureaucracies and procedures apart, if not for tenured positions, what about ministers and people who work within the presidential cabinets? Would you work as a leader with someone who is not loyal to you?
No. The president has the right to hire, fire, advisor, ministers. Okay. Those are his personal appointees. They do not have constitutional backing. The president only said there's going to be a ministers, at least, of course, even twisted the hand of the president to the point that there must be one appointed from every state or the federation. That even causes us to have an enlarged cabinet executive council. But those are not those are the president's men around him that he put. Okay, the president runs the country. Then that delegates some of his power. Okay, you look after education for me, you look after health, you look after finance for me, and all that. So they are answerable directly to him as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the advisors he appoints, in fact, the advisors doesn't even go for ministerial confirmation. And the further thing even that we do now is the fact that most often than not, ministers are not confirmed based on portfolios. And if you see our confirmation processes, some of them is bow and go. one or two times, what is your name? Which school did you attend? So people are not really. You see, we are making a mockery of the system. I watched when the Kenya president is it Uhuru Kenyatta was appointing ministers. It was so sweet, you know. It's just like you find them doing in the United States or other places. He comes out to the podium and he announces their name and their portfolio and their resume before sending it to the National Assembly. You know, portfolios are attached. So now when the National Assembly wants to clear you, you are being grilled or questioned based on what the job you are coming to do.
That's right.
So when it is blanket sending of list to National Assembly, you don't even know who is who. At the end of the day, you discover that an engineer is being sent to Minister of Culture to become a Minister of Culture. He has not done any work as far as culture is concerned, but just to fulfill the quota. You find that the medical doctor is being sent to agriculture to say, okay, just become Minister of State, just to fulfill quota from a particular state and all. So it makes mockery of the system. So, but those ones are within the periphery of the president.
But how do we even get the best? Because with what you have said now, picking a minister from across the country, the zoning and the federal character comes into play. Yeah. Is it possible to get the best hands given the federal character condition?
Yes. I mean, in every state of operation, there are quality hands. In every local government, there are quality hands. There are brains. You know. So but you see, what happens is that politics come to play, interests come to play, sentiments come to play. Sometimes you don't really look out for the best. It's okay. For instance, now we have been hearing names flying around as of this incoming administration. We'll be hearing names of people who has been attached to certain portfolios. Now, the propriety and competence of these persons, one cannot verify. But the fact remains that some of these persons, you didn't even hear their name during the election. But there are some back power brokers. For instance, people have been alleging that Tinubu has his list, Obasanjo has his list. Obasanjo will not come and become a minister. But because Obasanjo must have contributed to the electionary process, he can say, okay, I have one of my cousins or one of my friend's son who is in America who need to be rehabilitated in Nigeria, bring him in to become a minister.
But do you see sentiment appointment, playing out in the coming administration?
It will be there, but it might not be as... one thing I know is that General Muhammadu Buhari is somebody who, I think in the history of Nigeria, is the only man that is prepared for the job of the president of Nigeria. This is a man that has run for the office 3 times, lost, run for the 4th time, and won. So he is prepared. He has an idea of what he's going to do in government. Some of us that supported him sincerely, it is that was the drive that we had. Because the man was prepared. General Obasanjo came out of prison, and the next day Bangla went to him and said, sir, because of what happened to the West, about the Southwest, we want you to take the slot. And he was made a president. He came in, he started learning. Yeah, he's been there before. He came in, he started learning. He was leaving office. Late Yaradua was still battling with his ill health. And he said, no, my friend, come and be president. He might have known, he has been the governor. He was a governor. And so he knew governance. But he didn't have the preparation from onset to be president. Lot fell on Goodluck Jonathan, because from deputy governor to governor, from governor to vice president, from vice president to become a president. No plan, no preparation, no nothing. So he is open to manipulations. But General Muhammadu Buhari has been preparing himself.
All right.
Interested in the job. Showed interest in the job. Prepared himself. Run through the mill. Run through the process. He, according to one of his, I said he keep updating his list as to what he wants to do in Nigeria. So what I'm saying in essence is that yes, there will be people who, because he didn't win the election all on his own, their interest,
the multiplicity.
Yes, so that will be accommodated. But I can tell you, it will also be accommodated within the structured framework of his own ideology and what he wants to. And he has told you, nobody with EFCC, a case against EFCC, will make it to his cabinet. So even if a team wants to bring in somebody and the person has EFCC, still have case with EFCC, he will tell you, he will tell you, bring a new person. So that at every point in time, there will be sentiment, but the best man for the job will sentimentally get the job. Not just getting the job because you are just there, but you want to be the best to get it. And I think that's what this country needs.
I know a lot of Nigerians are really expecting that this incoming administration, they are watching to see who is going to make the list. And even some consultations are already ongoing now, even from the opposition. They are also waiting. We also heard that some people from the opposition are also consulting
showing interest,
as well. Giving an example of the Kenya, the Uhuru Kenyatta that you gave earlier, and some other countries, what should be the structure, the process of appointment of cabinet members?
Yeah, the process should be the fact that, like I have said, it should always be for the best and the brightest. At this point, Nigeria should not be experimenting. Anybody who is not ready to work should not come should not come, because there's nothing to eat again. In those days, we come and chop. Now there's nothing to eat. The meat now, the bone is so. I mean, you are not getting. You are at the bone level. So now, what we're trying to do is to rebuild the meat so that there will be flesh again for people to look at what to eat for people to. So there are persons. It could not all be from the APC. If the president can identify one or two good sound hands that he might want to use from Labour Party, from PDP, from what is this woman's party, Kowa Party, that he felt can add value to his working, to the governance, they should be they should welcome. But you see, the provision I want to put here is the fact that we can't run a one-party state. Okay. We don't need that one-party state, because just after the president won, a lot of people were now decamping from PDP in mass and coming with their supporters to APC. The party once deride and call names, call a spare drug. The president you once called a dead brain, an old man, and all those things, and he should come and apologize to Nigerians, a coup plot, all the kind of, you now want to decamp and you now want to become his friend. No, I think that will not be allowed. But if there are good hands, committed hands, they are found everywhere that can add value. And I think it should not all be within the political class. They can add value to the system that has something to bring to the table. Not this come and eat syndrome. That has something to bring to the table. I think they should be welcomed. And the president should have that broad mind. He will satisfy his party's interest within the confines of competence, confines of relevance, and confines of meeting his own personal expectations of the kind of characters that should be around him. All those should be taken into consideration so that we have the best. That when a cabinet is formed, that cabinet is hitting the ground running. Not one dragging each other back, or the other one, or one interest being protected. No, I think that Nigeria at this stage should have gone beyond.
But will you want to respond to the fact that a lot of people are talking and are scared that, okay, there's huge implication of running, or risk of the country running to one-party system? Would you want to consider the implication?
No, it will take the implication is very, very great, and grave. It will take APC to stop it. I tell you the truth. It took one man, Bola Tinubu, to give us what we have today. Now, remember in 2003, he was the only one man governor standing as far as the progressive was concerned. The Obasanjo tsunami has swept off all about from 6 states to just one, Lagos. And Bola Tinubu built back the progressive or the opposition from Lagos. ANPP then was not really an opposition party. You cannot call ANP them because they were neither here nor there. Okay, they had some states still in the north, but in the south it was a total tsunami, a total swept off. And Bola Tinubu built in from Lagos, galvanized the people, re-engineered them, rekindle hope in them, bring them back. I mean, make them feel there's something, and that is, and I give it to the southwest. Sincerely speaking, the southwest has been in opposition ever since, and they've mastered the act of opposition, so they are not quick to jump the ship. Those who are jumping them from AD, the then AD, to PDP, they are fair weather politicians. They are not the real politicians. But see how Bola Tinubu, using Lagos as a platform, as a bedrock, recaptured back the southwest. And today, the progressive for the first time is having a shot at the presidency of the country.
Let's look at
it's
what
something. I'm coming. It's something that it should take also. The conservatives are not used to position, but it takes APs to stop them and force them to become the position that they should be, because you cannot have a one-party rule, it wouldn't help anybody.
Let's look at what the political constitution is now, as it is, especially after May 29. We have APC with about 22 states, PDP 13, and then I think APGA has 1. APC, of course, is in the majority at both the House of Reps and at the Senate. What relevance really is it for the party, you know, at the top, the way they say it, at the federal level, to be in tandem with the state level? Because that was the campaign strategy of both the APC and the PDP, especially in Lagos. You
don't need that. The synergy share should be the fact that the only synergy that I see is the fact that, okay, we are in the same boat, we're in the same ship now. If I have a project that needs your support, I wouldn't have issues in getting that support so long as that project is viable. Unlike before, you know, it took the Lagos rail line, it took a lot of issues for them to get approval from
Should project approval be a function of party?
There are some projects that
allegiance.
Yes, there are some, no, it should be for national interest. But of course, you know, when you're playing politics, you can do politics with anything. For instance, the Lagos rail line, the one being considered fashion, it took a lot of time for them to get the necessary federal approval, because you know that the land on it belongs to the federal government, because they're going to destroy some areas. It belongs to the federal government. So if you are not a party that is in line with them, they will always want to frustrate you. For instance, you need some foreign loans, certain foreign loans, and you, of course, you need the backing of the federal government in that direction. So those things are there, but they are not supposed to be. It should be, national interest should override political interest or party interest. But of course, in our own democracy, that is, in our own institutions, that in our own system, that is not very, very, that is not strong, the institutions are not strong. So what that the president called the shot, and there is no repercussion, there is no political repercussion. I tell you, with the kind of bad deal Lagos had, with the kind of bad deal right from the time of Obasanjo, when the local government fund was seized, a lot of projects could not be executed in Lagos, even up to recently, when Obanikoro, as Minister of State, has to use the army to go and stop the Lubrin housing project, the Ikoyi jetty project, deploy soldiers to go and stop it. You see, in any same political climate, PDP will not get a single vote from Lagos. Because it will be seen as irresponsible behavior on trying to muzzle up a project that is good for the people. You look at what a housing project is not to be inhabited by fishes, or it's to be inhabited by Lagosians, by Nigerians. And then you will now send troops to go and stop it for whatever reasons you have. That is excessive use of force. If it is in another climate, you pay for it dearly, politically. But in Nigeria, anything goes, and people, the party, your party will clap for you. Oh yeah, we are getting back at them. You know, but that's not supposed to be. Now talking about National Assembly and the state, you know, there was a time PDP had 29 states, like in 2003, PDP had 29 states. AD had just 1. ANPP had 5 or 6 then. So it was like a total sweep. They're even lucky to have 13 when APC is having 12. They're so lucky to have 13. You know, so it's still a good deal. Even in the last National Assembly, they had over 2/3 majority of the Senate and the House of Reps. They had that 2/3. You see, when you have 2/3, you are in control, because there are some bills that will need 2/3. There are most bills that will need 2/3 to pass. Some bills are simple majority. So right now, the APC is working on simple majority. They don't have 2/3 majority of the both houses. So it is still not a bad deal. Okay, they could still cut deals. There are some things that they can still be frustrated in certain areas. You know, that's why in the British system, in the parliamentary system, you must have absolute control of the parliament for it to govern. You might be the party with the highest number of votes, number of seats in parliament. So you run what they call a minority government. You are the party with the highest number, but you are still a minority, because you are not having absolute. And that was why that brought about the merger, the cooperation between Liberal Democrat and the Conservative that is running Britain today. The Conservative had the highest number of seats, but they don't have absolute majority. So that they couldn't govern effectively. So that's why they went to that alliance. Now in Nigeria, the case is different. There are some bills that need simple majority, so they always pass that. But there are some bills that need 2/3 majority. That is where you have to cut deal with the other parties for you to have.
But apart from the simple majority and where you have the majority in the House, if you move away from the House of Representatives and the Senate and you go to the street, you have the minority who didn't vote for a particular party. Do you think, because a lot of people have also questioned this in the past, do you think this is going to be a true test for the incumbent administration not to forget or neglect the minority?
No. The facts about life is the fact that the moment elections are over, president is the governor of everybody.
That's how it should be.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Is that how it's been?
Well, to some extent, yes, but to some extent, no. You see, if you take it to the United States, the Democrats have never won any time in Texas, North Dakota, South Dakota. There are so many states, Nevada, and so on. They've never won there. They are Republican strongholds. The Republicans, apart from Ronald Reagan, have now won in places like California, New York, and some other what they call this state now. They've never won there. Okay, so if you go out there, you know the states are advanced. So if even the elections, you don't bother to go and campaign in those states. You know
that
traditionally
they wouldn't vote for.
I mean, this is our state. You might have local food soldiers trying to get more votes for you, but you know you will never win those states. Like a Republican going to win in California. It has never, apart from Ronald Reagan, it has never happened for a foreseeable time. There are swing states where they fight. Florida, there are swing states. All some of those states in the east, they are swing states. You know, where it goes either way. Those are the ones that determines who wins the election. Okay, so you put the energies in those areas. But you know, the moment elections are over, there's no more red state, no more blue states. It's not United States of America. If anything wants to happen, in fact, most times like when Obama came to power, when he brought out that his project, what do you call it? I can't remember what he called it now. When he called, that massive work program that he brought in. Some Republican states rejected it. There was even problem in making it accept money, to accept federal money, you know, into their states for those program. You know, they rejected it. They said we are satisfied, we don't want. But in Nigeria, it's the other way around. You will not say, okay, you didn't vote for me. Okay, when Shopee money come, we will know where to take it to. When Zizo money come, we'll know where to take it to. But out there, they were even begging Republican states to accept those monies, and then the people were bluffing and saying, "No, we don't want. We are contented with what we have." So that is the different scenarios that we
I
have.
asked that question because even the APC at Lagos, at the state level in Lagos, also have been lamenting the fact that they've not been able to get enough federal allocation, and some of the projects they wanted to execute then never.
We run a federation where the resources are distributed on a certain level percentage. Now the federal government has 52% of every resource that go into inflation account. The states share, is it 26% here? The local governments 10 or 15%, I can't remember now. Now, if you want extra help from the federal, okay, for instance, you have federal roads in Lagos. You have most of the waterways belong to the federal government, the port and everything. So if you want any more additional help from the federal government, pay from their own resources, you know how to go about it. It's a matter of negotiations, good political will, and all whatnot. But even those states that are PDP all this while, have they been able? How many presidents have they attract? You have federal presidents in Lagos. You have the universities. You have the teaching hospitals. You have the roads are not repaired. Just like roads, even in Abuja, are not repaired. Roads in the southeast. The whole of southeast is a PDP state now, but they have the worst set of roads if I can ever think of. So it's a matter of. We don't need to dwell on this. We must get federal president will always be there because there are needs for financial. For instance, there are military barracks all over the place. There are positions all over, and these are all federal presidents. There are universities, federal universities in every state. They are all federal presidents. But the fact is, people might think, okay, we want these other things to come, we want some more sharing formula, we want some more appointments to the federal government and all whatnot, for individual and personal interest, not really for the interest of the state. Because I can't even see even between those states being run, those states that are PDP. I can't see what they're having more than the states that are not PDP. For instance, to go to the east, southeast, that have been all PDP all this while. I mean, you can't see anything to come. Go to Bayelsa, even the present home state. The east-west road that passes through Bayelsa is one of the worst section of the road. Go to Akwa Ibom, the Uyo-Calabar Highway. They are all PDP states. What has happened to that road is terrible. Go to the Umuahia Ikodek-Mene Expressway. It's terrible. They are all PDP states. So I don't see any special thing you get. But like I've mentioned earlier, it could facilitate, if you are in line with the federal government, if you are starting projects they want to impact on, for which you might be encroaching on federal land, on federal right of way. It can be speedily resolved and more passionately resolved than when you are in different camps or when you are at loggerhead with the federal. But apart from that, I can't see any special benefit you derive from not being at the federal, intended with the federal.
WILCOX ALESTA, thank you very much for finding time to join us today.
Thank you anytime. Thank you.
Digest.
We didn't talk about the 20 billion anyway, maybe on that. Maybe next time. But it's okay. Thank you very much.
We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll also touch on intra-state development. Of course, the Deputy Governor of Ondo State has been impeached. We'll be joined by a spokesman for Afenifere, who will also be sharing his thoughts about the incoming administration. Stick around and go away.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But what about the things in life that actually inspire us to believe? Like the things that drive us, the things that move us, and even the things that remind us that the sky really isn't our limit. Because when we are inspired, we are led to future greatness. But first, we just have to believe.
One day I want to build Nigeria's first aeroplane.
I know. One day you'll make us proud.
Rich and creamy pig, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
I was given the mandate by the National Coordinating Council to support President Goodluck Jonathan. And Jonathan have lost. Heaven will not fall, Nigeria will continue. Why are you trying to have those who did not support you? Now Buhari is in power. I'm ready to work with Buhari. Oh, God, is ready to work with Buhari.
All right, you have sound there from Gani Adams, coordinator of the Odua People's Congress, talking about his thoughts as regards the incoming administration. Of course, the roles he played before the election were in public glare, but he says that he's ready alongside his team to work with the Buhari government. We're joined now by spokesman for Afenifere, who joins us today on Core Digest. Thank you very much for finding time to come, Yinka ODUMAKIN.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Prior to the election, many people will perceive you as pro-Jonathan, given some of your contributions and comments that you made. The election is over now, and obviously Jonathan lost What was your initial reaction to the announcement of the results?
I supported Jonathan for the elections, and if the event were to be played again, I would do exactly what I did, because our conviction is about the fact that my basis for supporting Jonathan was on the need to implement the report of national conference, because it's very clear that if we don't restructure this country, Nigeria is going nowhere. And therefore, it was done out of conviction, no regret about it. The election went the way it went. We have to move on.
Do you think in any way, of course you heard Gani Adams' position, would you say you're following through with that path, that you're also ready to work with this incoming administration if perhaps you're called upon?
No. We have followed my history, my trajectory. It's very clear. This country belongs to all of us. Whoever is in power, we have to engage them for the good of our country. If they succeed, it's for all of us. We're all better for it. But if they are doing the wrong thing, definitely we'll take them up.
Does it make you
because
feel
we have taken so many governments off over the years, from Babangida to Abacha to Obasanjo to anything and the rest. So, but the ultimate is the good of our country, and we are all stakeholders in this country. So there is no way we will not continue to talk about this country, to engage any government that's in power. Where they do good, we say yes, they have done good. Where they don't bad, we say no, this is not good.
The way things turned out, APC having majority both at the Senate and at the House of Reps, winning about 22 states out of 36. Do you have the feeling that your opinion was that of the minority?
It was not the opinion of the minority. If you follow me throughout the elections, my issue was about the destruction of this country. The zone I come from was very key on that issue. And within a few weeks, we brought this to the front burners. And if you analyze the election result in the Southwest, it was 56 to 44%. So we cannot say 44% is a minority in any way. It's a growing opinion that 44% stood on the Southwest on the issues that we canvassed for these last elections.
How did it come about, that statistic? Is that for the presidential or the gubernatorial election?
For the presidential election. It was presidential election on the basis of the destruction that we campaigned for. And the result was 44% to 56%.
I see. Let's take you up on some other issues. Of course, on the front page of the Vanguard, we see an amazing report here that talks about hate campaign, Buhari fights back, bars AIT from covering activities. I tried to read a bit of that story. The spokesman gave reasons for family and some security issues thereabout, that there might be, that they would definitely call them back in time, but for now, for security reasons, that particular sector of the media is barred. What are your thoughts along that line?
Well, let me take it that this is just Sheikh Garba's action without the blessing of the president-elect. But if this action is sanctioned by the president-elect, then we're in trouble. Because, like Mark Sullivan said a few days ago, he wrote an article titled, "Can Nigerian former dictator become a democrat?" And at the end of that article, what he did say was that, look, Nigeria at this moment needs a reconstructive surgeon, not a bulldozer. This is not a good sign. If this is happening as president-elect, what will happen when you are sworn in? That you are coming with vengeance, you are coming with repression. If you had done anything wrong, there are laws to deal with it. I know that Senator Bola Tinubu is in court against AIT, that they said they published something against him. So if you had done anything, but to use arbitrariness, rule of the thumb, to begin to suppress the media this way, without any recourse to law, when you are not even yet sworn in, it signals the imminent fascism.
Earlier today, I was discussing with someone before we came on air, and he was saying that it's possible that even the president-elect, General Muhammadu Buhari, may not be aware of this clampdown on AIT. Do you think that is true.
That's why I want, you know, I preface my comment with the fact that I hope that this is not sanctioned by the president-elect, and if it does not sanction it, he should correct this and let the Nigerian and the world know that it's not part of this vengeful mission. Because you see, you have a president who is outgoing, who for 6 years was bought of attacks. There was no name, did not call him clueless, this, incompetent, everything. Even the professor called his wife Shippopotamus. No media was bad, nobody was guided. And he did, and at the end of 6 years, I was able to say, look, I've been abused, I've been doing anything and the rest, but under my watch, 6 years, nobody has gone on exile or in prison because of the views they hold. If we are starting this way as elects, we'll be able to see the similar thing at the end of 4 years.
But you talked about using the media, you know, taking charge of the media. Wasn't that the impression that the PDP government gave, given the position of the AIT going against certain rules of the NBC, so to speak, during the electioneering process?
Which rules?
Of course, the documentaries played similarly gave a picture of the hate speech that we've all at the time preached against.
What was the hate speech? If there was hate speech, are there no laws to follow? If indeed the AIT carry out some hate speech, what you do is that there are regulatory agencies. Before positions where you go to court, not self-help. What we are seeing here is self-help. Which law now allows an aide to a president-elect to say this media cannot cover my? That's outside the law. You may justify it now, but like Nemola said, they came for the priests. I did not speak up because I'm not a Catholic. They came for this one. I did not come up. They came for 3 years. I didn't speak up because I'm not a Unionist. By the time they came for me, nobody was there to speak up. If you condone this one now, it will be your turn tomorrow.
But after the election, I'm sure by now the PDP you must have picked up after you lost in that 2015 election.
I'm not PDP.
I know.
I'm not. I don't belong to any party.
I understand you, but I know you do have a support for PDP.
For Jonathan.
Okay.
To implement the conference report, basically.
But when you look back now, would you say there's any regret?
No regret at all. Now? No regret at all. You don't know me.
From the campaign period to the election period, everything that went on.
For me or for me?
Now I'm talking for you, yes. Supporting Jonathan.
No regret at all. I said I will do it over again. Because what I believed in. The issues I canvass, the issues are there. I give you 6 months to 1 year. Those very issues will come to the forefront. This country has reached a dead end if we don't address those structures. So those issues that are canvassed, elections won't defeat them. Britain that put Nigeria together in 1914, last year, they were still doing referendum in Scotland. Issues of nationhood, they are not about elections. Elections don't resolve them, and if you don't resolve those issues, they come to resolve you.
What do you foresee being the fate of the resolutions made at the National Conference, which you were part of?
Well, I listened to the president-elect talking on TVC a few days ago, and was saying that, raising his opposition to the conference, that saying that as at the time the conference was being held, ASU was on strike, the monies for the conference will have been used to take care of ASU strike. And I said, wow. When the president-elect was made chairman of PTF under Abacha, they were doing roads, they were doing hospitals and the rest. There was Ministry of Health. There were probably other problems in society, but the government considered it important to do that intervention, which he did, which he headed. Now, to say that people should have taken their opinion to the National Assembly, to me, show clearly that I would have been say, okay, I will study the report, I will look at it. But to say that, it was a wrong priority and the rest. When you look at the map of these elections, the way this election came out, you can see that the old Biafra rejected Jonathan everybody. The North rejected Jonathan. When you have that kind of map in your hands, if you understand what is at stake, and you can see beyond now, beyond the euphoria of, oh, we have won, or power has come back to our region, you should know that that's not healthy for the country.
But talking about
what you need is healing and reconstruction.
Talking about the national conference, if it was a matter of urgency, how come nothing is still being done about it now, even under the Jonathan administration? What would have expected that the urgency with which it was conducted would also be the urgency with which probably it will be tabled at the National Assembly and then see it being passed into law in a matter of time?
When did Nigeria get independence? 1960. From 1960 to 2014, these issues have been on the own. Nobody has thought it fit to address it. Somebody has now addressed it in 2014, and you expect them to have finished the whole process in that 2014. What I take 50 years. Most of the issues involved are constitutional issues. They are not administrative issues. The fundamental things are things that require constitutional changes. And I've seen the level of palpable ignorance by the last session of the General Society. In fact, today, when I asked many people, have you read the report of that conference? They said they have not read it. I'm not sure that I don't think you have read the report. So people are just condemning what they have not read, or the opinion they are made to form.
The resolutions made at the national conference.
Have you read the report?
Is at the public. It was reported. I'm aware of
full reports. Have you read
of
full
what most of the reports are really. But the question I'm asking right now is: Are you pessimistic that this incoming administration wouldn't follow suit with those resolutions or wouldn't do anything about them?
Well, I said the president changes his mind. He spoke last week, saying that it was a wrong priority, and that the money used for that conference should be
talked about the conduct of
ASU.
the conference,
not
the resolution.
No, he said the money should be given to ASU or ASU, and that was a wrong priority. And even said he has not read the report, and that's even. I mean, if you are the now president-elect, go to the president of the country, and such a fundamental development took place, you say you have not read the report.
But we read some of the report. I read some of the reports in the newspaper where it talk about the, the state police and some other issues, the power devolution and all of that. And just a few weeks before the 2015 election, where a scene in the newspaper where we heard that it was going to be passed, and the government, the president, had really, assented to it for it to be passed, but we've not heard about it since ever. What do you think has stalled that process?
Well, what happened, because we need to inform the public properly, was that the Federal Executive Council adopted that report 100%. And now the president now said that, well, if he won in the election, a bill will be forwarded to the new National Assembly to take, because most of the issues here are the report divided into three. There are issues of law, there are issues of policies, there are issues of constitutional issues. The issue of policies are things that a president can just do on his own. The issues of law are things that, okay, change, this is not assembly. The most fundamental ones are constitutional issues. For instance, when you talk about question of police, under the present constitution now, policing is an exclusive matter. Now what the conference says is that, okay, let there be layers of police, which means that you have to take that matter away from the exclusive list to concurrent list. For instance, at the present, under the existing constitution, what the law says that only the federal governments control mines and non-mineral resources. The conference said no. Let the states begin to participate. You need to take that thing out of it. Right. And now, look at what's happening now. Nigeria is a monoculture economy. Many people don't understand now. Oh, immediately when the new president came in, was elected, the naira collapsed. Now it's going to begin now to 220 naira. Because what? Because ours is not a productive economy. Our naira is not backed by any production. It's only oil. Once the price crashes, the value goes down. Now, for you to raise up the value of your currency, you need to begin productive activities. You cannot have productive activities if you don't allow states now to begin to go under their soil and begin to bring out all the things that are there. And those are constitutional issues. So it's a whole long process that requires a lot of constitutional changes. And of course, and when you look at what national assemblies are doing now, what they're interested in now is that how to begin to pay pensions and themselves.
Just a minute. So let's take a couple of calls. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Call Digest. What's your name and where are you calling from? I can hear you clearly. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Ibrahim from Ogba.
From Ogba.
Yeah.
Please go ahead with your contribution, Ibrahim.
Yeah, the issue of this constitutional conference. Hello?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We can hear you, Ibrahim.
The issue of the constitutional conference, you see, the major problem that the constitutional conference is supposed to achieve is the issue of resource control. Because when you are talking about the state police, etc., without the resource control being put in place, there is no way even the state can even enforce some very well. For instance, if it's a state or two states, as of today, they are collecting less than 2 billion from the federal people. If they are two state police, how are they going to come in? So the first thing, even the contract conference, failed woefully in that respect. They couldn't achieve their resource control. What was achieved, what was agreed by those people that have in that conference, especially the gentlemen that is sitting in front of you there, they couldn't achieve anything. They now said it should be sent back to the presidency. A committee is set up. And up to now, the committee has not come up with anything. So, in a nutshell, the overall objective of the constitutional conference is about restructuring of Nigeria based on resource control, which they cannot achieve. Every other state is tied to that particular situation.
It's all right, Ibrahim. I believe you made your call. Made your point that just a minute before you say anything about that. Let's take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll find out details on the issues that Ibrahim has raised.
It is often said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. But what about the things in life that actually inspire us to believe? Like the things that drive us, the things that move us, and even the things that remind us that the sky really isn't our limit. Because when we are inspired, we are led to future greatness. But first, we just have to believe.
One day I want to build Nigeria's first aeroplane.
I know. One day you'll make us proud.
Rich and creamy peak, extra fortified with 28 vitamins and minerals. Here's to 60 years of nourishing dreams and inspiring the future. The future is bright. Reach for your peak.
Welcome back. Yinka ODUMAKIN is still very much here with us. You heard what Ibrahim said via the phone. What was the resolution made as regards resource control?
Apparently, Ibrahim is one of the people who are commenting on the report they have not even read. Because all he said is total misconception of the whole issue. What the state needs to function is what you have done for them. That they should resource democracy. Let every state begin to bring out the thing under their soil and begin to make prosperity from it.
Internally generated revenue.
Now the issue is talking about resource control. What was for the conference that was part of the president was derivation. That presently the states who are in the oil producing states, they are getting 13%. They want an increase. The conference recommended 5% increase for them. The committee. Now the North said, okay, if they are going to get 5% derivation, they want 5% for Boko Haram devastation. That's why we had the logjam. No, you cannot. Derivation is about, you cannot use Boko Haram as a derivative item. That was when that was going to disturb the whole conference. We said, okay, let's refer this matter to the president, to refer to that committee. There's a need to increase derivation by the percentage from 13%. Let that committee decide. But on the question of what the state need to function now, we have done that. That the state, from what the conference recommended, those states today can now be, if I adopt that, can begin to exploit its bitumen, begin to make money from it, or should they can begin to exploit its gold, which is being mined by illegal miners now. That's what the state needs to survive. So there is a need. There is so much. That's why I'm saying that there is so much literacy in the system, so much ignorance that we don't read anymore. Like someone said, that if you want to hide something from people, just put in a book where they will not read it.
That
report is available on www.2014nationalconference.com. Let people read it.
Now, looking forward now, a lot of people, you talk about that the resolutions were divided into three parts, constitutional, policy issues, and the law issues. But a lot of people want to see that some of these resolutions that have been made at the National Conference should begin to see the daylight, especially the ones you said are not going to be, and not needed to pass through necessarily passing through the National Assembly and all of that. Don't think that it's been draggy a little bit.
No.
With some of those ones that were not so...
the ball is now in the court of incoming administration. The life of the administration now, the member is for 5 weeks. So you can it's too late now. But it is left onto what kind of country does the incoming administration want. Is it an inclusive country? Is it a country for all of us? Where we have to agree and put things that make this country work. Or but it's all about we have taken our power back, then God help Nigeria.
We have to go now, but there are lots of people talking about the fact that Buhari might be the first president who truly intends to be a president, given the history we've had in the past about how national leadership came by. There are people who are also believing in the integrity he's bringing to bear. What are your thoughts in a minute? What do you believe in the capacity of the president-elect to perform in 4 years?
Well, the ball is now in his court. Now he's got the power to do it. And the next 4 years, we'll see what he can do and what changes can bring on the table. Well, yes, he has run on a very strong, over the years on anti-corruption, strong platform. But some of us are worried that the first appointment President is making was his inauguration committee headed by Timothy Sylvia, who is in court today over 19.2 billion naira fraud.
Don't you think that transition committee is
the
inauguration committee must have been a decision made by the party and not an administration that has not started yet?
It's the presidential inauguration committee.
It's all right. Thank you very much for finding time
to join us
on the show today. We'll be speaking with Yinka ODUMAKIN, spokesperson for the Afeni Ferry Group. We hope that subsequently you also find time to join us to discuss these issues. I'm Nifemi Oguntoye.
And I'm Frank Omalape. Thank you.
We'll be back tomorrow with more interesting editions. Join us again.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.